You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 433, the Sunday, the 20th of November, 2022.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jane.
And hello there, Michelle. And we're doing good this week?
Can I talk about that next week?
Oh, okay.
I think I'll need some reflective time. But at the moment, things have not been the greatest this week, and I'll just leave it at that and think about more positive things on the horizon for this here Disney Dream Girl, making sure every minute counts to live her life to the best of possibilities, because you never know when it might be out of the window.
Okay. Onwards and upwards.
What about yourself?
Yeah, no, we're all good. We have a little mini troop planned. Simon's going to be donning his stormtrooper armour in the next not too distant future. Actually, it's as we're recording, it's the following night. So we're doing a little bit of a mini troop at a local pub who are doing a sci-fi quiz, and they're giving us the chance to go and raise a little pot for the children's cancer charity that we support. So, yeah, that's kind of nice, isn't it?
It is, because little differences like that make the world of difference to those families, especially when it's anything to do with children undergoing horrible treatment for a horrible disease.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that both groups that we do our trooping with, one supports, say, this particular cancer charity for children and their families, and the other one supports a children's hospice. So, yeah, good stuff. Nice to be able to help out every once in a while.
And it fits very perfectly to the Star Wars whole theme, where you're bringing a little bit of light where there is darkness.
Oh, how very poetic, Michelle.
Oh, that could actually fit with Harry Potter as well.
True. So... Probably could fit with a lot of stories, to be fair.
Yeah. I haven't really got any Harry Potter outfits, but I do have the wand.
Yeah, no. My dressing up consists purely of Star Wars and Disney.
Yeah. Well, let's kick off the show then.
Okay.
Now, this show's going out Sunday the 20th of November. I want to take you back to 1945, to the 21st of November.
Okay.
And on this day in Disney history, Goldie Jean Hawn was born. She has won an Oscar for the Best Supporting Role in the 1969 film Cactus Flower. She also received an Oscar nomination for her role in the 1980s film, which I absolutely heart, Private Benjamin.
Classic film.
I don't know whether it was Private Benjamin or Stripes, or Officer and a Gentleman, that just got that sort of idea in my mind about going in and going down the armed forces route when I was 18. And this is a seldom known fact, Jane. I did actually go for the aptitude tests for the armed forces and was accepted.
But you didn't go in at that point?
No, I was awaiting to do my medical, and something sort of steered me off path, and it took me about 30 odd years to actually get back on path and to be part of the armed forces again.
Yeah, well, better late than never, eh?
I got there in the end, and to be honest, if I'd have gone in at 18, I'd never have made it to second lieutenant like I have now.
No, different environment and everything. And I think sometimes, older head on wiser shoulders and all that, isn't it?
Me, wise. Okay. So it got me thinking about all the amazing films that Goldie Hawn has been a supporting or lead actress.
Okay.
And when I mentioned it to you, you were like, I can't actually think of any. And I was like, you are kidding me.
Well, it was one of those ones, when you have an actress in your head and you think, is it her or isn't it her? And I had one of those moments. Bear in mind, I'm whatever age now, and my brain's not what it once used to be. But it was then, as I started talking to Simon, I went, oh, I don't Private Benjamin. And oh, Death Becomes Her. And all of a sudden, the film started to, I wouldn't say roll off my tongue, because I then got a few, and then I did what every sensible person does, is they go to the mobile phone and they go onto IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this lady has had a film out virtually every year of her acting career, and some of them are real big films that have had a massive impact on my life. I already mentioned Private Benjamin, but things such as, and I love this, I think the films she starred with Kurt Russell, Overboard, oh my word, I loved that film.
Okay.
But you've got The Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah.
You
That's
know.
what comes to mind first, isn't it? I think at the moment, such good films.
Yeah, but you've got things like, and I absolutely loved Bird on a Wire, where she was with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
You know, she always played these wonderful ditzy female characters so well.
And she has some very lovely leading men.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Obviously not now, but yeah, back in the day.
Mm.
Absolutely. First Wives Club, Death
Yes.
Becomes Her.
Yeah.
Then there's her relationship actorally with Steve Martin. A lot of films she starred with him. Then there's the work she's done with Chevy Chase.
Of course, yes.
So you could go on forever. It'd be really interesting to see what our listeners think, which is her favourite, which is their favourite film that she's been in.
Yeah, and of course she started off, didn't she, in TV with the Rowan and Martin's Laughing, which I know is before our time, really, because we were only little babies, weren't we, when that came out. But very much her comedic roots kind of started off from that point, and as you say, a very illustrious career.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, moving to 1963, Walt and a team of executives landed at Herndon Airport.
Ah.
Now known as Orlando Executive Airport, to search for the ideal location for the East Coast Disneyland.
Right.
So that's a little bit of history on this day.
Mm.
And then the final one is hop, skip and a jump to the 24th of November, 1995.
Well, okay, that's a bit closer in time, yeah.
It is, and it is actually something you are a bit of an expert on, Janie.
All right, go on. You can put me on the spot now, aren't you? Go on.
The Disney MGM Studios Spectacle of Lights featuring the Osborne Family Holiday Lights debuted.
You know what? I am absolutely gutted, because we were there in 2004 and it was still running, I think, at that point, and we never made it. We never got to see it. No, I know, absolutely gutted. Well, of course, at that point, we wouldn't know that not long after that it was going to be taken away. And I think it was because we were there and we had Moles and Ethan with us. Molly was only 3.5 at the time. And I think it was just one of those things that we'll come back and do it another time type of thing, you know, and it just didn't happen. So, yeah.
Packed away, never to be relit since the 6th of January 2016.
Yeah. It's
So
such a
sad.
shame. Such a shame.
Yeah, and if you want to find out more and have a wander through the past, why not hop on over to yesterland.com/osborne.html. There's that link on our website as well, where they've got a fantastic history of these amazing lights. But what I did do this week is I posted it to our dear, lovely Disney Dreamgirls podcast family.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what is your opinion? Was losing the Osborne lights worth it to gain Galaxy's Edge?
Ooh.
I think I put the cat amongst the pigeons here. I separated the Star Wars fan from the Christmas fans here quite eloquently, I feel.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Why can't you have both things?
Well,
Why couldn't there be somewhere else to put the Osborne lights? You know, if they found the space in the studios for them at the first time around, why couldn't they recreate a new space for them?
and that is exactly what Caroline Gray said. I don't want one or the other. I want them both.
Because
Come
we're
on,
greedy.
Disney.
We're Disney fans and we're greedy. We know what we like, and when we like something, we want more of it.
Now, our friend Scott Cowan said, hey, look at this lightsaber. That's the only light spectacle I need in my life. Give me Star Wars.
Well, it is a toughie, isn't it? I've not, obviously, not having been to Ye Old Galaxy's Edge, I can't really pass comment. I am looking forward to ultimately seeing it one day. However, there's a little bit of me, and this may go not go down well with people. I don't know. It's not the original Star Wars. It's all set in, prequel, not prequel, sequel territory, and I'd rather it be set in the original timeline.
Tricky one, Jane.
Mm.
Sharon Alicia says, to me, Galaxy's Edge was a one and done, whereas Elsborne Lights I'd see 3 times a season. So she was quite happily to get into MGM, as it is now called Disney's Hollywood Studios, with a bulldozer and get rid of Galaxy's Edge to reposition those lights where she wants them.
I suppose with Christmas lights particularly, there is something special about Christmas lights. And in fact, any nighttime show, any fireworks, any illuminations, any laser projections, I think you can go and see those repeatedly and still enjoy them, and perhaps even get, different enjoyment levels out of them depending on, your viewing point and where you might happen to be and what have you. Whereas, I suppose depending on how much you love Star Wars, you've ridden the Millennium Falcon, you've been in Ogre's Cantina. Do you necessarily want to go in them again? It's up for debate, I suppose, isn't it?
It is indeed. But for me, do you know what? I never got to see them apart from on their YouTube. And there's nothing like a collection of light bulbs lit up in a certain way that melts this old, haggard, tired Yorkshire woman's heart. And to me, you cannot get any more Christmassy than It's a Small World in Disneyland at Christmas. So that is the nearest I've ever been to it. So for me, I'd love to see Disney dusting them off. And if Disney want to revamp a little bit of that love that they're missing at the moment from all these price hikes and all of that, put back these lights and readapt and move them forward, reutilise them. And you know what, Disney? You will recoup some people that have vowed never to set foot in the park again.
Yeah, well, there is something to be said for a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah. David Maruka said, they should have been moved elsewhere. Star Wars is an all-year-round attraction. The lights weren't. Let's be honest, though, David. Disney could find a way to put the lights on all year and have a Christmas land. Just saying it,
Well, yeah, never thought about that, Michelle.
Yeah, and Gordon and Ninja, last but not least, let's get the lights back where they were. There's still parts of that area available, and they could always brighten up the area by Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, they could split them, couldn't they, and put them in different parts of the park even.
Yeah.
If there's not sufficient room to have them all together, they could be split into different sections. I mean, as a straw poll goes, Michelle, from our little old, podcast family page, there's a lot of love out there for these lights.
And to be honest, if you're going to a Disney park at Christmas, you want that Christmas feeling ramped up to 1,000%.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. I mean, there was nothing that tickled me more than sitting somewhere nice and sunny and warm in Florida and then hearing, a quintessential Christmas song being belted out when we were there in 2004. Because obviously it can be pretty cold and pretty miserable over here, to be fair, at Christmas, can't it? We want to have the white Christmas. Do we ever get a white Christmas? No.
We get a white February.
Possibly. We tend to get maybe a bit of a damp and, not inspiring Christmas normally. So to be sat in a lovely heat was different, and then to have your Mariah Carey or whoever blasting out at you was a little bit surreal at times.
No, Jane, especially for you. It'll be Neil Patrick Harris. Are you ready for Christmas? That is just the quintessential Christmas feel-good song. And boy, oh boy, I need that in a hug at the moment.
Oh, that's on every Christmas playlist that I've got going. I haven't started playing my music yet.
Haven't you?
Not yet. I have resisted. But I think by the time this airs, Christmas music may well have been played in the Phipps household. Whether other people in the Phipps household appreciate it or not, it's left up for debate.
Jane, my husband plays Christmas music all year round.
Oh,
It
wow.
really annoys me. I have to reconnect my iPod into his car to avoid having to have Bing Crosby singing White Christmas in 57 different versions.
Yeah. Well, I tend to wait until the middle of November before it really kicks off. But it will be on constantly. But
Okay. So this week or last week or wherever we are in the space continuum, Disneyland started its Christmas tour, and this year it had a little bit of, we'd like to say pixie dust, but I'm not.
No.
A little bit of a revamp to past years gone by, and I think I've done this 4 times, I'd like to think.
Yeah,
I think I've done it with the Allisons, Tommy and Lena. I've done it with Wendy Cooper. I've done it with Stephen Klamowska. And I think I've probably done it on my own one year as well. So I know I have done this on Christmas Day, and it's given me such a wonderful feel. And I do recall the other week mentioning on the podcast it was back. And I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then a listener got in touch with us, and I've seen YouTube footage, and I've spoken to this listener at length about it, and I'm like, oh my God, Disney, you have made a mistake.
Yeah, well, I think you pinged me about it, didn't you? And I think we perhaps, and going by the chat over on our Facebook page, I think perhaps we've all maybe seen the same YouTube video.
Yeah. But I've also spoken to someone who's actually done it herself.
Oh, okay.
And when I did it, yes, it was an expensive 3-figure sum. Okay.
Yeah.
This year it starts at $110.
Okay.
But when I did it, it was a 4-hour tour.
Right, okay.
It's now been slashed to 2 hours.
2?
2.
Wow.
And I believe over that 2 hours there is a toilet break as well.
It's very generous of them.
In the most inconvenient part of the park, which is Adventureland, which doesn't have great toileting.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any place for you to sit down and rest for a moment. Anyway, you start the tour in the same old place where the Tour Gardens is, and you immediately put on your whisper sets, you get your lanyard with your gingerbread ID card on a Disneyland laminate, and you head on over via a special gateway, because you don't need a theme park ticket entry to pop into Disney's California Adventure.
Okay.
And you go down Buena Vista Street, and your tour guide will explain what you're seeing in the windows. You go to the Christmas tree, and the tour guide will explain what you are seeing. You go and get a sweet treat, which is a pre-wrapped cake pop, which is pretty much similar to what we've had before. We had a marshmallow wand, but it's very similar. And then you hot-foot it back to Disneyland. That so far is pretty similar to the past.
Okay, right, yeah.
It's at this point that you then start going around the theme park, and your tour guide talks to you about things such as, well, here in the park you can find a little touch and a little nod to Hanukkah. Okay, that's good. And we can talk a little bit about the Christmas tree, and we can talk a little bit about that and a little bit of that. And you go around and you go over to New Orleans Square, and you see the decorations over there and wandering around. At that point, it then starts to dissolve a little bit, because in the past you've gone on a ride at Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'll be nice.
No, not anymore. It's deleted. No more. Doesn't happen.
Okay, so one ride down.
Yeah. Before I've done Jingle Cruise as well.
Okay.
And that's not happening either.
So 2 rides down.
Yeah. You then sort of meander round to It's a Small World, and you do get a ride on the happiest cruise in the whole wide world.
Okay, lovely.
Then you walk the parade route while everybody else is sat up on curbs, whatever, for the parade, and you walk to a reserved area outside Jolly Holiday Bakery.
Okay.
You get served hot chocolate in a really cool Christmas reusable plastic mug. And you get a boxed treat. Now, in years gone by, you have got a treat, and it's always been a Mickey gingerbread man.
Okay, yeah.
That's not anymore. It's just like a round, gingerbready, nondescript, circular.
Oh, so just any old thing, yeah.
Yeah. and then you go to your little barricaded area and you may stand and watch the parade. Did you hear that key verb there, Jane?
I did, and this is where a lot of people have got issue, isn't it, Michelle?
Yeah, because in the past you would go and ride on It's a Small World, you'd come out of It's a Small World, and opposite you there would be lines of plastic patio chairs screened off for you, and you'd get a fantastic view of the start of the parade. And boy oh boy, after walking around the theme park for 2 hours, or as in the case back then it was about 3.5 hours, you were tired and you'd want to sit down. And for a lot of people who are not able-bodied, they don't really want to sit on the curb, they don't want to stand up, they want a rest, they want to sit down. And it was a massive perk to many people. And Disney have said, no, I'm not putting out plastic patio chairs now, you're gonna stand.
The thing is, when you have a tour of any description, there has to be something in that tour, surely to goodness, that is compelling you to buy that price. And when a tour has always had preferred seating, it would be, I think there's a lot of people buying the tour this year assuming that preferred viewing is going to be seating and therefore are going to be awfully disappointed when they get there. You know.
Well, shall I tell you this, Jane? This is my top plan. Okay. Save your $110. Either pay for Genie Plus for the day if you're in the parks, whatever, but buy yourself your own hot chocolate from Starbucks, buy yourself the Mickey chocolate topped gingerbread cookie, which is amazing, and go ride It's a Small World 3 times. That to me will get you in the Christmas spirit a lot more than shelling out $110 for information you could Google anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you say, you know, you pay your Genie Plus and you can get on all those Christmas overlay rides, I would think, off the top of my head. So that would be that element covered. As you say, you can buy whatever snacks you want. Part of having a tour, and particularly at Disneyland, in my view, you're wanting to get some of the history, some of the Disney information, whether that's harking back to Walt's days or talking about the evolution of the park, talking about the evolution of Christmas at the parks. That's what I would be expecting from a tour. I would be expecting to find out more than I already know, or perhaps be able to feel quite smug about myself because I already knew something. You know what? Do you know what I mean? And it's disappointing that element seems to have disappeared.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is one thing that's disappeared and gone and vanished forever, and it just makes me feel a little bit, do you know what, not as good inside. A little bit of my, you know, little sort of angst against Disney is growing a little bit, because to me that Christmas tour was something I'd traditionally done quite a lot on Christmas Day, and it really just made that Christmas feel. But you know what, I think just walking around the theme park with those items I suggested you buy, riding on Haunted Mansion Holiday, riding on It's a Small World, giving out pixie dust to random people in the park and seeing their delight is a better way to spend $110.
Definitely.
You know, I could go to the front of the popcorn corn line and buy 2 people behind me popcorn buckets, and there'd be a lot more happiness in my life and in theirs.
Yeah, everybody would win.
So to the cruises, Janie.
Cruises.
To the cruises. So your ears pick up because, I'm going on a cruise.
Yeah.
Cruise. Jane's like a meerkat. Up to this point, Disney Cruise Line have been allowing a slight modification to their mandatory muster drill.
Yes, it's been virtual, hasn't it?
It has been virtual. You'd watch a video in your stateroom, you'd go to a particular part on the ship, you would use your phone, scan in the QR code, job's a good one. You knew where your muster point was. Well, prior to that, you had to go to a particular assembly point and wait for everybody, including the dude who's in the swimming pool, who's not deciding to get out of the swimming pool, or the person who's fallen asleep on his bed, to get their behind out to a place on deck. Ta-da! Well, it's going back to that, Jane, and Disney has said we regularly review our processes and have made the decision to reintroduce the in-person assembly drills. All guests will be required to report to their assigned assembly station in person at the scheduled time on embarkation day, beginning on these sailings, and it's starting throughout the month of November, gradually across the fleet of the 5 ships. I understand why it's done. Seafaring safety is not a matter to be taken in jest.
No, absolutely, yeah.
It was just so nice doing it the other way, but when I was on the cruise, I did speak to people on Disney Cruise Line, and they did say to us, the number of people that didn't do it, and cast members had to go round and chase people and push people to get to do these, the nicer version. So I suppose in a way it's back to that old adage, we can't have nice things.
Yeah, it seems a shame really, because it one of those unexpected consequences of the last few years. There's been a lot of systems that have come in place that initially we might have, I don't know, not sort of gelled with, but as we've got used to them, we've kind of gone, oh, actually no, these are time saving, these are a little bit better, or they're quicker, or whatever they may well be. And it's a shame that something that would have seemed to have been a bit easier to have done has now had to be dropped because people haven't been doing what they're supposed to have been doing.
Well, it is what it is, my lovely. It's
Absolutely,
one of those
yeah.
things. And yeah, and as we've seen this week, there's been so many things that have been sneaking out in the Disney news field. There's lots of Christmas merchandise, lots of Christmas food. There's lots of Disney price ticket increases. So basically Disney are wanting to take more, and in return, as a guest, I'm feeling I am getting less. I'm not at a point where I'm going to turn around and say I'm not going, but there will be a point where that will come, I am very sure.
Yes, I think we've mentioned this before, I know probably on Patreon and probably on the main show as well. There's got to be there's going to be that tipping point, I think, isn't there, where people go, yeah, okay, enough's enough now.
Yeah. Anyway, our lovelies, we would just like to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you for listening in, enjoying our show. Hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget to share it with people. Don't forget to hop on over to our Disney Dream Girls website at disneydreamgirls.com. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at DisDreamGirls. And don't forget, there's the Disney Dream Girls podcast family on their Facebook. But until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.